Okay, let's jump into MotoAmerica. Reese, hopefully you're not getting any gray hairs from this or losing any sleep. You got two rounds, 5 races. Your rookie, as far as the team, is leading the championship, close in the points. Which is pretty cool to see from a spectator standpoint, I have to say. Let's talk about, what has it been like? You guys just had testing a week ago. What's the team like these last few rounds? It's been a couple of weeks since we spoke last, so 2 weeks has passed. Have you lost like 5-10 pounds? What's going on?
No, you still got the pounds on there, but no, it is stressful. I mean, we still going in with the same mentality. We want to win. We're going there expecting to win. Of course, we're going to horsepower. Everyone knows we're going to Coda, and that's horsepower alley. But we have our ways, and we have the skill level where we can compete. And we're looking to go to win, or most likely, still a round. Then we go on to Jersey, where it's a little bit more suitable for us, I believe, and see where we go at.
Okay, all right. Let me ask this. At the beginning of the year, after Herring came off his win, and at the beginning of the year until now, do you guys, feel like you're poised to steal one, or do you feel like you guys, regardless of who won last year, you guys felt like you were there to you had what it takes to be where you are at right now?
I mean, we always have that feeling of, to be where we're at nowadays. I mean, not saying anything, but people was pretty much counting us out, and we were like, don't count us out. I was like, that's one bad move to actually do, is to count our team out. I mean, we've been together for quite a long time. And like Lewis said, it's not just the rider that's going to win; it's the team that wants to win as well. Um, there's a lot of tricks that you can pull up your sleeve, and we just go with our mindset, saying, "Hey, we're going in here to win. We want to do our very best and be up there in the battle." You never know what can happen. It is racing, and it can be anybody's day. So that's what we want, and we want to be up there in the battle, up there in the top three, or top four, or whatever it is, up there in that front row, that front group of guys. I mean, we're going here to Coda, and we're looking and expecting to either A, win, or, like I said, steal one.
So we're looking forward to it, man. We can't wait. TJ, what are your thoughts on the championship? It's really close. I know you're a Heron and a Cam Bobier guy. You're a Yamaha guy. I mean, you might have two different beers you're drinking at once, man. What are your thoughts on the championship?
Yeah,
How it's coming to an end.
I mean, I like Josh Herring, and he's fortunate that he had a little injury from the last round, so I'm sure he'll be ready to go. But like I said, he's like a one man show out there.
I heard he broke his leg in several places, like Rossi did a few years back.
Man, bullshit. I don't know what's going on over there, but
can you hear it? I just don't want to interrupt when my eyes roll.
Well, go ahead, TJ, man.
But the Yamaha camp, man. Like Gagne is sitting in fourth right now, and Bobby Fong working his way up to take the lead in the championship. I feel like that team focus right now is at a high intensity right now. So I feel like it starts with Reese to make sure to get them all there safe at the track and on time to get everyone's head together. But I think it's going to be a good weekend, at Coda to see what Bobby Fong can do out there. I know Bobby and BMW, he's going to put down a fight. So it's going to be racing, high intensity. So it could be anyone's day, but I'm sure Bobby can hold it off.
All right, so we have to make sure nobody kidnap Reese, right? I'm trying to the cartoon show that I can't even remember that someone was always getting kidnapped. But what are your thoughts, Lewis, on the way things are right now?
What cartoons do you watch, man?
I don't want to say it's Beavis or Butthead or what it is. It's nothing crazy. So don't you worry.
I find it really interesting that you find a fracture 3 weeks after you break something. I'm not a orthopedist, but most X-rays will reveal a fracture in the first couple of X-rays, not 3 weeks later. And there's a certain somebody, I'm not going to name him by name, that found a fracture 3 weeks later. And to me, it feels almost like setting up an excuse to make himself not accountable, and also setting himself up to look like a superhero in case he wins. Because if you release something like that I fractured my leg 3 weeks later, and then you go into a race and you win, oh, look at him, Josh is great. He battled through the pain of a broken leg to win the race and blah, blah, blah. But if he loses, well, you understand he's out there battling, but he's battling on a broken leg. Look, man, Rossi had a broken leg. That was a legit broken leg. Finding an X-ray 3 weeks later that says you have a fracture, I mean, all right, if you say so. But, unfortunately, Josh Herron has cried wolf too many times for me to take it seriously when he says something like that. So, I'm not going to give him a pass on that.
All right.
I thought you wasn't saying no names.
I didn't say no last names. There's more than one Josh in the paddock. I didn't say it was Josh. There's more than one.
It's only one Josh on Superbikes, though.
I didn't say he was on a Superbike. See, there you go. You're assuming. Why are you assuming this? It could have been Josh from the Twins Cup.
Oh man.
But again, maybe it's mind games, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. At the end of the day, you still got to go on the track and you got to prove it. You got to race. If you got diarrhea, you got to race. If you got a stomachache, you got to race. If you got a flu, you got to race. There's been plenty of riders that have raced in adverse conditions and put everything they can into it and didn't do social media posts for 2 weeks or 3 weeks after an event and do all this other stuff and try to get the fans on their side because, I'm injured on this and that. You weren't winning when your leg was good. If your leg is actually fractured. So now that your leg's fractured, you're going to do better? Or you just trying to set up excuses to either cover your, the lack of your ability to bring it home after you kind of walking away with the championship? Or you're trying to make yourself set up so that if you do win the championship, now you can kind of be like, yeah, I pushed through all this pain and all this struggle and all this effort. And, I give so much thanks to my team. Come on, bro. Just go fucking race.
Aren't that how superhero stories made?
That's how
remember back when the Celtics.
That's how villains are made.
So
I remember back in the Celtics when they carried.
Syndrome wasn't a superhero. Syndrome was a bad guy.
So the cartoon was South Park, and
who used to get kidnapped?
Huh?
Who used to get kidnapped on South Park?
I don't know. I think Kenny was always talking about somebody getting kidnapped. From what I can remember. But we're gonna leave Reese out of this because he's competing in the championship as part of the team. But let's ask TJ and Lewis. I mean, how do you see it playing out towards the end here? You got Cam in there. We got Herron that he's how healthy or not he is, and you got Bobby Fong who seems to be at the right place at the right time.
I mean, I think it's just tight. Like I said, it might come down to Jersey, and the last time I've been to Jersey, a couple of Yamahas won there, so it's gonna be interesting to see who can take Coda, because I would probably decide for sure, who's gonna win the series. But I think Bobby can hold it off. He's only up a couple points. Like I said, that BMW got a lot of horsepower. So see if they can hold off the BMW basically. to stay up front. But I feel like they're going to be on the podium, the Yamahas. I feel like.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be, between between the Yamahas and the Ducati, really, because Cam has just been up and down this season. Even though he's right there in the points, it's just, he's kind of like a crash away sometimes. What are your thoughts, Lewis?
I think it's going to come down to the BMW and the Yamaha. If Yamaha can leave Coda with 2 good podiums, they don't have to win. Just be on the podium, keep the points really close. I think the biggest competition right now, or the biggest threat, is definitely Beaubier. At Coda, he's going to have a huge horsepower advantage, and that is a fast track. That's like a horsepower track. That's very similar to like your Road Atlantas or these bigger tracks where horsepower does make a difference. But I think it'll come down to, again, unless something crazy happens at Coda where there's some DNFs or something like that, it'll come down to Jersey. And the great thing about Jersey is not a horsepower track. Jersey is a technique track.
Mm-hmm.
Horsepower doesn't matter there because the fastest bikes to ever go around that track have been in the low 120s forever. The track's been open now, I think, 16, 17 years.
2008.
Yeah, so 17 years or 18 years later, the fastest time is still the same fastest time from when the track almost opened. So that lets you know that nobody's going faster at this track. Nobody's found a way to find another second and a half of this track in almost 20 years. Why? Because the track doesn't allow for it. It's not configured for that. It's configured for style, for technique, for corner entry, for speed. It's not a horsepower track. So you take horsepower out of the equation, and now it just comes straight up to riders, setup, and determination. Again, Beaubier has won a lot of races at New Jersey. So I think he right now is the biggest threat to the Yamaha team because, I remember when Beaubier was on a super sport bike. I'm not going to say a date because I already know I'm old enough, but he went out there and he set a lap time on a super sport that would have put him in 3rd place on Superbike that year on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is years ago because, Tommy Aquino was still racing. All these guys were still racing in super sport. This is a long time ago. And Cameron Beaubier. Yeah. Damn. And Cam Beaubier went down to breakfast and pretty much told all the YES guys, because this is when Yamaha had the YES teams. And what was the other one? Clark Racing was still the racing. And he pretty much told them, he's like, hey, I'm going to go out today and I'm going to set the fastest lap anybody has ever set on 600 this morning. So good luck keeping up with me. And then he went out and he wiped the field with them the entire day. So the dude's had a lot of laps around Jersey and he knows how to get around there fast, man. So again, I think it's going to come down to Yamaha and BMW. BMW has the edge at Coda. And then it's just going to be grit and determination for Yamaha and BMW, who wants it most at Jersey.
Oh man!
Listen,
go ahead.
I gotta say this. Here we go. Y'all do. It's only 17. We're up 17 points on Cameron in first. So, yeah. like Lewis said, I think like long as we get on the podium, if Cam wins, then we take 3rd both races. We'll still take the lead going into Jersey.
Yeah,
and that's where you want to be. You want to be able to take the lead or maximize the most points you can have. And going into Jersey is the big monster, the triple header. And the one thing that comes into Jersey that a lot of people forget is weather. That rain is going to play a big factor if it does rain. And I can tell you this, those Yamahas are a weapon when it comes to the wet. They're a weapon. You can ask JD that one, and he'll tell you. So when it comes to the wet, that Yamaha is a weapon in the wet. And, so, like Lewis said, it's going to come down to it's pretty much going to come down to Jersey's round to see where we're at. Like TJ and Lewis said, it's going to come down to Jersey. So, but as long as we can stay right there coming into Coda, I think we'll be just fine.
Nice. I'm looking forward to watching it, and I may text you just to see if you're smiling. We'll see how it goes. I try not to bother people when they're working because I know how that is. Let's talk about the Super Sport class. It's between PJ Jacobs and Matthew Schultz at the moment. Schultz is defending the title. PJ's looking really good. We're talking about 7 points difference there. I don't know if in Jersey do Super Sport have 3 races or if it's just a super bike that does that. What are your thoughts about the Super Sport race? A few rounds ago, it was looking a lot closer than it is right now as far as more riders. It's only 2 guys that are fighting for it. What are your thoughts, TJ?
And I've been around PJ Jacobson before, so I'd love to see him come back in and take the lead and win it for sure. I mean, I know Schultz before has been trying for so long and always coming up short, and now he's got a championship. I know a lot of people have their ifs about his attitude and stuff like that, but I think he might hold it off. But I really hope PJ pulls it off. I want to see that Ducati win it with the team that he's on with Kayla. So it's the Apex.
All right,
So.
Reese, are you able to comment on Ducati in a nice way? I mean,
I mean, I can comment on a nice way. I mean, the bike is what it is. I mean, the bike is one hell of a bike. I mean, it's quick. I mean, it has a lot of low end torque, a lot of grunt. But with the way that Matthew's riding, I mean, I think he'll end up taking it. I mean, hopefully he can keep his head on his shoulders and do well and not have any foreseen errors, malfunctions on the bike, or ride a little bit above the limit, and run off or kind of do anything crazy. But I think if he stays right there, and I think if he keeps his head on his shoulders, I talk to Matt every race, every round. I'll go up and talk to him, and tell him to keep his head on his shoulder, and usually does fine. But I think at the end, I think it's going to come down to a 2-bike shootout coming into Jersey. It's a 2-round. 2-race round at Jersey. I think it might come down to that, and same thing as the super bikes. So I'm looking forward to having, being honest, I'm looking forward to a Yamaha running away with a double super sport win.
Yeah, all right. I mean, we'll be at the parade.
It'll be a little wet though.
That's all right. That's all right. We like champagne. It's the only time we can have champagne, right?
Right.
What are your thoughts, Lewis, on Super Sport with what's going on with Schultz and Jacobson, and to add to what Reese says about Schultz? I mean, he's the closest thing that's riding to like a Manzi or a Top Rock on a bike, where he's been able to make that Yamaha do some things that the other Yamaha riders. I mean, I know Blake is close, but Schultz is doing it a little different.
Yeah, I think this championship is going to go to Schultz. I think he's going to defend his championship. He won it last year pretty resoundingly with some really great podiums. But I think this year he's got a little bit of extra fire under his belly to win another one. I think there's going to be some changes next year that's going to give him an opportunity to move back up into Superbike. And I think he wants to cap off this part of his career in Super Sport with another championship. And I just think that he can ride the wheels off the bike. I've seen him riding that bike, and I see him doing things on that bike that really are special. That's the best way I can put it. There's something special. And I think after the last little blow up that him and PJ had, I think he's got even a little bit more fire in his belly to just beat PJ's ass. And this is opportunity to kind of go out with a big, hey, you know what? I know you got little man syndrome, but there you go. I just won another championship from you, being a bigger man physically and emotionally.
God, ruthless, yo.
Jesus.
Yeah, if you don't want the fact, don't listen.
Ruthless, yo.
But it's true. I think PJ really hurt himself with that little blow up he had. And and it just this is the kind of thing that somebody like Matt will take as motivation to be like, you know what, now I even got more reason to beat your ass. Because I guarantee you, when he does win that championship, he's gonna definitely poke the bear a little bit on his way out the door. So I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Blake really steps up this weekend at Coda and kind of steps in and even buffers between himself and PJ and Matt to even help Matt out a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if the Strack team kind of gave Blake a little bit of incentive to slow PJ down and maybe leave Coda with the championship.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think that's that. I mean, I think Schultz has a better chance of having Davis help him out than the than PJ Jacobs' teammates, because they just haven't been they're close to the front, but they haven't been out front like that. And Davis has shown that he can run out front. So at least he has a chance to get in the way. But if you can't get in the way, you can't help your teammate out at all. So I agree with you there. I mean, I think that it's a good chance for the Yamaha boys to wrap it up sooner than later.
Yeah, if PJ gets involved, or if he can stay in the mix, I seriously think that the Yamaha team will leave Coda, if not with the championship, with a pretty good lock on the championship. Maybe they only need one race at Jersey to really put a stamp on it. It won't come down to the last race of the year. That's my feeling.
That's what we like to hear, man.